Hello everyone, today I'm working on this SD40-2. It's a Bachmann. I kind of like these because they have a blinking light. Although this one, even though it still has the box, I think it's seen some better days. So let's just take a look at this. It's nice to have the box. So this one too, I'm going to put it up for sale at the end of the video. The 282 that I did last week, it ended up selling on the first day, so that was awesome. So these have a little bit, the paint on this is a little bit too shiny, but still it looks pretty good. You can tell the hood is a little bit too wide, but still I kind of like these. I've always had one, and I like to run them. I like the way they look. Most of them have the little blinking light that goes there. This one seems to be missing for some reason. We'll see if we can do something good for it. And this handrail in the back is just not sitting right. I think I can plug it back there though. That's worth taking an extra minute to do. I took my mini drill, I re-drilled a couple of the holes, and now it's hunky-dory. The horns there, it's missing the windows, but we'll take a look inside, see if there's anything we can use from that. That here is a spacer for the frame, so we're gonna need that for sure. Let's put it on the track. Let's see if it's gonna run. Even though the paint's too shiny, it still looks pretty good. Let's put some power to it. Oh, it's running. That is good. Actually, very good news. Maybe it needs a little cleaning, but we have a runner. Actually, sounds like it's supposed to. Just needs a little cleaning and maybe some tweaking. But that should be easy. Well, I guess you may not need that spacer to make it run. So these are held together by 4 little pins on the frame. Pretty easy to get them off. Just have to go one at a time, and then your shell will pop off. Then we'll take a look at what surprises we have. Okay, so that's your little circuit board. Should be popped in there just a little bit stronger, I think. These two pins make contact with the frame, and then that should be screwed in there somehow. Or is it screwed in, or is it just velcroed in? Let's see, that seems to be pretty shaky. I don't know if I can fix that, but it's gonna be worth a try. I'm just gonna take a better look at this. So this is my parts unit that I can use, and they just melt the little pin to make a holder for the circuit board. Once you break that off, you can take the circuit board out. The other circuit board is like way too damaged. This one still works, so I'm going to be using this one. My little circuit board though, it's missing a little tab here, so I'm going to use just a leftover copper wire, and I'm going to make one up. So I'm just going to use a bit of copper wire. just like so. I'm gonna drill a hole in it. That's just to help me to situate, to hold my wire while I'm waiting to solder it. So if you don't have a small micro drill like that, a jeweler's drill, you should get one. I use mine all the time. And then I'll drive in my copper wire, and that will hold it for me. So that will hold it for me while I get the thing soldered together. I really am trying to make it so that you guys can see me do it. That way, if you want to do it yourself, you have a better idea how to do it. But the trick to soldering is you gotta have enough heat. That looks pretty good. And then the copper is pretty malleable, and it should give you enough of spring action to touch the frame and light up the board. That should be good enough for that board. While I'm moving on to something else, although the shell looks clean enough, I am going to take a minute to wash it with my toothbrush and some dish soap. I mean, it's way too shiny compared to a regular model railroad equipment, but I still think that looks kind of neat, even though it looks like a toy. You know, put that in the comments. Would you pay more for an engine that was weathered, or would you pay more for an engine that looks brand new, like it came off the factory? I'd be really interested to know. So let's take care of that drive. Remember that little insulator from when I opened the box? This is the spot where it goes. Now, fortunately, the two frame halves don't touch, because if they did, that would make a short circuit, and that would be bad. At any rate, we're going to take this apart and take a good look at it. I don't especially need to have this part come out, although if it does come out, that's okay, but it can stay in there. As far as I'm concerned, I'm happy with it there. I suppose the other side's going to do the same. So here, this will give me just enough slack to remove my two power trucks. It ran well, so I'm not expecting any bad surprises. So here on this side, you have the other little nut and the other spacer. And then your motor, which actually ran fine. So I'm not going to do a lot to it. I don't think this engine had a lot of miles in it. I still like to take a good look at it. Since I have it in my hands, I think I'm going to put a drop of oil. So I just put a little drop on the one side. And then I'll turn it. And I'll use a little bit of play that it has. Thrust, as they say. And work the oil into the bearing using capillarity, gravity, and thrust. Same thing on the commutator side. Just put one drop, and I'll do the same thing. You don't need a lot. You do not want to put oil in the commutator. That also would be bad. Yeah, so no oil in there. Avoid that as much as you can. So this thing, it ran great. I don't think it has too much mileage. There's nothing much more to do to it there. However, I like to spend most of my time on the power trucks there. This Rapido coupler there, this Bachmann's own stuff, looks a little bit flimsy, but in reality it gets the job done. It's got its traction tires and all its wheels, which we are going to clean. These, you can remove the side frames, but you have to go really gentle because they can break. So take your time, just wiggle them back and forth until they do come out. Because if you break the little tab, they have the tiniest little tab there. If you break that little tab, they won't go back. And then do the same thing for the other side. They actually can run without them. And I suppose if you do break the little tab, just take your time and wiggle them till they do come out. That will avoid breaking it. And then once you have it out, the engine can run without it. They're just there for looks. I'm going to work on this off camera so it doesn't get too boring for you guys. It really is a question of taking your time. And these, they have to have a little bit of angle, the contact strips. They need to have a little bit of angle, but not too much. So you can bend them back and forth, however you need. But I like to have them just a little bit of contact, but not too much. If you put too much contact, they will bend to the side and to put too much pressure on the wheel and slow down your engine. So this was a good runner to begin with, so I'm not changing anything. I am gonna take a minute and just run them through my toothbrush and some dish soap just to get the dust off. Little drive shaft here, feels great. I don't think I need to clean it that much, but we'll do the wheels. I'm not gonna go crazy on the cleaning because it ran pretty well. But your wheels can never be too clean. So I cleaned them with my rag like that. The water and the dish soap, it plays with the electrostatic barrier that keeps the dust together. So that's why I do it. And I move my wheels around like that, and then I can clean the other side. So I'll go around like that, cleaning everything. And that's gonna help. And I will put a little bit of lubrication on each side of the worm gear. That part of it does work hard. So I'll put just a little bit here and over here. And that too, I will work it in. I'll just turn it like that with my fingers just to work it in. This is a pretty good gearing. The ratio, the gearing ratio for this engine, I find that to be pretty good. I cannot complain about that. And then I'll put a little bit down the side of the wheels on each axle. Put a drop on each axle. It was running fine before, so I'm not too worried about that. And then I'll do like I did before, I'll just work it in. It feels like a brand new one actually. Very nice. And then the two side frames come back. and they go with the big end towards the fuel tank. And the side frames hide a lot of things. Same as when you remove them, go slowly, take your time. I clean the side frames also with my toothbrush and some dish soap. But that's the secret, is to take your time. I do the N scale, I do it to relax. I get comments where people tell me, oh, I love your video, it puts me to sleep. Awesome! That's a compliment, because I do that to relax also. So if you guys relax with me, that's fine. That is what it's all about. So that feels great. I'm going to do the exact same thing off camera for the other side. Well, now that everything's clean, I'm getting ready to put everything back together. But first I'm going to take a minute just to glue in my circuit board on the top of the shell here. Making sure to get my little flashing light up to where it should go. At first I was going to glue it in there, but really it fits in there very tight, so no need to glue it. How do you feel about this shiny paint job? For me, that's just fun, so I'm going to leave it like that. But you could, of course, do a little dull coat, and that would fix it up. So we're going to put everything back together. I start with the nuts side, and then I'll put together the insulators. The insulators, I guess you don't need them to run it, but they are useful. I think so anyways. So insulators, and these can pop out, as you can see. So that's probably why the insulator was gone, because as you put everything back together, these can move around. Yeah, exactly. So you have to make sure that you put your trucks back. This pin goes into the frame, and this has to just hang on the bottom side of the frame. So as you put it back together, you got to make sure that this is lined up properly. So that is a little bit of extra work. It's not super hard, but you just have to be mindful of that, because everything will tend to pop, the insulators will tend to pop out. Everything tends to pop out. So that makes it just a little bit tougher. So that might try your patience a little bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to use gravity as our friend. So I'm going to start the screws rather than lose my patience over that. I'm going to start my screws, and then I'll put in the power trucks. That is the plan. I've done this before, so I'm not too worried about success there. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff that's got to work together. So I'll just start my screws. And these screws for N scale, they are big, so that won't be a problem there. So I just start my screws, and I give myself as much slack as possible. So I can still have a little bit of slack here. So then I have to come in and slide my draft shaft in, put the first side in, and then put the second side in. So I check that my contact strip is on the bottom of the frame. Actually, that's way easier like that. And I'm gonna tighten it a bit, but not all the way. I still need a little bit of slack, but this should prevent it from falling out. Same thing here. I use gravity as my friend. Put a little dry shaft in, and then I should get enough slack to just pop this in. Oh, that's way easier. So I always check. So I'll check all 4 of them, make sure that they're good, and then I'll tighten up my screws. That is the best method. This is the exact same mechanism as the E60CP. So that I fixed one up and I sold it on eBay. I did not get much money for it. I don't know why the E60CP is not a favorite among collectors, but I like it. Now we're gonna bench test this. As I was fooling around with this, I saw the little plate that comes out here. Pretty easy to remove that. And that will give you easy access to the little axles, which are, as a matter of fact, bearings for this. So I just put just a tiny little drop. And then I use gravity also to spread them out. And boom, I can get in there, oil them. Go sparingly on the oil, and then I'll run it on the bench. I keep it upside down like that because that gives me a chance to have the oil work itself in. Wow, that is really quiet. I should probably put that little plate back on there. Easy breezy, lemon squeezy. So I'll work it like that for a little bit, give a chance for the oil to work itself in. But man, it's running quiet. It runs super well on the bench. Let's go try it on the track. Let's just put some power on. Oh my goodness. It is such a good runner. So if you think you'd like to own this, I'm going to put it on my website. You can come and check it out. Check back often because I can change the pricing and I try to add new stuff once in a while. But it is a good runner. Really unexpected. I'm gonna put instructions to my website down in the description. All that's left to do is put the shell back on. It is a little bit bright and toy-like, but I think I still like it that way. Just making sure my tabs are set properly. Oh, that looks pretty good. And now it's time to run some trains. That little blinking light sure is a lot of fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.